Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new spoiler breakdown here on Max House. We're going to break down Volume 1 of Season 4 of Stranger Things on Netflix. It just came out, the first 7 of the 9 episodes here in Season 4. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring that bell to these type of TV show reviews, other movie reviews, movie rankings, box office breakdown show, all these different types of videos. So please subscribe and ring that bell to notify when my videos drop here on the channel. Comment down below. Is this one of your favorite shows out there? Did season 4 left you disappointed? How excited are you for the final 2 episodes of season 4 coming on July 1st? And did you just wish they all just came out together? Or you're cool waiting a month to get the last 2? Let me know your spoiler thoughts, favorite characters, least favorite characters. Is anyone going to die? Let me know in the comment section down below. We have a fun conversation here on this YouTube channel, so you're safe to say whatever you want to hear, and I'll respond to you if it's in a polite manner. And please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button, that's how you support this channel in the best way possible. It helps the algorithm so more people will get recommended. If they want a Stranger Things review, they'll check out this video. So this is going to be a spoiler breakdown. Now, the way I'm really going to do this is kind of, you see behind me, the 4 storylines that are going on throughout the season. I'm not going to break down each episode because, I mean, this was 7 episodes with 9 hours in length. The shortest episode was 63 minutes. And the longest episode was the finale episode, which was 1 hour and 40 minutes. So this is it's kind of too much to break down episode by episode. So I'm just going to break down basically close to the end, but let's just break down each story. So first we'll start on the far right, which is the Russia story, which is with, so this season, everyone's kind of basically split apart. There's a Russia storyline. There is an 11 storyline, there's a Hawkins storyline, and then there's a California storyline. So we're just going to break through each one. That's just the easiest thing to do. So as I said, let's start with Russia. So the whole thing this season is obviously that Hopper is alive. And Joyce and Murray are out to save Hopper in this season. Now, I just want to say, first of all, my general thoughts actually before we get into it, I love this season. Now, this is my favorite Netflix show they've ever done. This is one of season 3 for me was the strongest of the season so far. I'm at 3-1, but this so far is my favorite season thus far, especially episodes 4 through 7 for me, were some of the best TV you'll get all year long. Starting with the whole Max stuff in episode 4 and ending with an amazing jaw-dropping, speechless last 30 minutes of episode 7. So as I said, this whole season, Hopper's in prison. He tried to escape in episode 4. That did not work out. But Hopper had a really interesting story where he gave a couple of monologues and basically saying that everywhere in my life, I feel like people believe that, there's been a curse following me around. And he kind of felt like to himself that I was the curse. Like, I'm the one who got tested on, led to my own daughter's death, led to separation from his wife, and then him not being with Elle anymore. That he's just the cursed person, that everyone needs to kind of just stay away from him. And he's kind of, again, lost the will to live. He just is done. He's done. After his friend Dimitri, who was a really good addition to the cast this season. Dimitri and him had a really good chemistry together. You can buy that they actually could be friends in the end. So that was a good story. And then you had Murray and Joyce trying to get Hopper. So Joyce gets this message from Russia in a very early part of the season, basically like Hop is alive, and Murray's kind of like, I mean, you kind of saw him die. And again, if you watch again, Joyce does not see a body. So Joyce kind of believes this. Dimitri sends him to Alaska to find Yuri, who will take them to the prison, and then Hopper would break out. This all went wrong because Yuri sold everyone out. He sold Hopper out in the warehouse. He sold Dimitri out to his own people, and then he drugged Murray and Joyce, which then leads to Yuri on the plane going to give the Americans to the prison. And this is when they had a hilarious scene. Again, Murray and Joyce were just, again, such a good duo to go with. Brett Gelman continues to steal every scene that he is in as Murray. And finally, his karate skills, he finally backs up what he's been talking about. He's been really funny, but he finally gets to get some action, does a couple of nice karate stuff with Yuri on the plane. He takes over. Then the whole switcheroo, which is Murray disguised as Yuri, bringing in Yuri disguised as Murray and Joyce to the prison. And this then works out, which then times perfectly in the last episode, as they are then going to watch the Demogorgon go after the Russian prisoners. And this is where in the episode 6, Hopper steals the fire and the liquids, because we know that the weakness of the Demogorgon is fire, and Hopper knows that. So Hopper's pretty confident in that dinner scene where he's like, this is your last meal. This is a Demogorgon. This is not, what you guys think, everyone's going to die. And he kind of had a plan. So him and Dimitri get themselves out of the situation with the help of Murray and Joyce. And then we get that big reuniting scene to end their storyline in volume 1, which is just them seeing each other and them hugging. And it's extremely satisfying. David Harbour and Winona Ryder and Brett Gelman all are just, again, the whole cast is really maybe the strongest element of the show. And David Harbour and Winona Ryder get to come together at the end of this volume. So we'll be interested. They are kind of stranded in Russia. So we'll see what happens in the last 2 episodes. If we'll see Hopper reunited with Elle and Joyce with her kids, we shall see, because I don't know if they can fly themselves out of Russia. So we shall definitely see what happens next. And if that Demogorgon, I don't think that Demogorgon is dead, the one that Hopper kind of threw through. Let's go on to actually my least favorite of the 4, which was the California storyline, where we catch up with Mike and Will and Jonathan and a new character this season. So the first half of this volume, I thought the California stuff was actually pretty good. 11, and it was in the first couple episodes of this California story with her kind of, again, her whole thing is that she's been basically bullied this entire season. And we'll get to 11 stuff with Dr. Brenner and Owens in a second. But when 11 gets taken by Paul Reiser, it becomes basically that Mike, Will, Jonathan, this guy are on the run. That became the least interesting part of the show, and you can kind of tell that they needed something to do with Mike and Will and Jonathan until Elle comes back. And you can kind of feel that because they are not even in the last episode of this volume. So clearly, so as I said, Elle gets bullied. She throws that skate at the worst bully of all time, which is Angela, one of the most unlikable characters I've seen on a TV show in a really long time. Very unlikable, awful person. But 11 kind of does an even worse thing, which is basically hitting her with that skate, gets arrested, she gets taken away. And that's when Paul Reiser says today. Then Paul Reiser sends his agents to just basically keep the California group of people just staying put. Mike and Elle had a huge fight before Elle was taken. Mike was definitely not a good boyfriend in this season of the show, never saying that he loves Elle or anything like that. Will, again, it was nice that Elle had someone at school, but Will kind of just stood there and let Elle just take the beating of the bullies, which I didn't like that much. And then there's kind of not a reason why Jonathan just isn't going back to see Nancy. I do think that part of it could have been cleared up a bit more. And it seems like they're doing Nancy and Steve now moving forward. So I'll give you my theory at the end of the episode. Sorry, this is a lot. There's 4 different storylines, a lot to talk about. And I love talking about the show. So Jonathan is, just not going back, and him and Nancy are just both just kind of staying put, just hoping for one of the other people to make a move and go back to visit each other. They have not visited each other in a year. So the best part of the California storyline, though, is when the military people, the U.S. military, out of nowhere stormed their house and started killing all the agents. And it felt like a movie scene. The way it was shot, it's probably the best thing that Duffers maybe have ever shot for the show. It was masterfully done. You feel the intensity, you feel how quickly this all spiraled out of control. Because you get the fun scene of, the pizza guy is going to come here and he'll pick us up and we'll go to Utah to find Susie. But it becomes really intense, really quick. And as I just mentioned, now after that point, they find the number which will tell us to Nina, but Nina obviously is a computer, as we know. So Mike, Will, and Jonathan are like, we got to go to Utah. Mike's like, we got to go to Utah. And then Will's like, I can't believe we have to do this. So they go to Susie's house in Utah, because again, they're in California. Pretty hilarious scene with Susie's like daycare kind of house. I can't believe they're all kind of related to each other, but it's kind of a hectic situation. Our new character finds a new person, a new fling, which I thought was kind of funny. And then Susie basically cracks the code. She helps them out. And that's where we end. I mean, this California storyline ends in episode 6. So it seems like there's a lot of collision courses going back to where Elle is, because it seems like the military, they, they were questioning that one agent who was alive. So it feels like he's going to let them know where Elle is. And now it looks like Mike and the California group know where Elle is. So it feels like everyone's going to be converging on the Nina project, which should be very interesting, especially what happened at the end. So I thought the best storyline, though, by far this season was the Hawkins. Not shockingly, the heart of the show is in Hawkins, when you have Lucas, Max, Dustin, Robin, Eddie, Nancy, and Steve. The first 4 episodes of the show were the best stuff. I think this is the MVP of all of the kids this season, was for me Sadie Sink, who plays Max. That is the most emotional I've been for Stranger Things in a while, which was the episode 4. I thought that was the best episode of the season, with the just emotional that Max kind of knows that she's going to possibly die to Vecna, who was a fantastic villain. We'll get to Vecna with the 11 storyline, but Max was really good in this season, and you can kind of feel that she's gone through a lot. She's still recovering from Billy's death, but she said she's the type of kid who just doesn't like to get sad, and you can tell that it's kind of hurting her after write all these letters to everyone. She's in a rough place. Nancy's friend gets killed as well earlier in the season. So then, Steve and Dustin, Lucas also joins the popular group with the jocks. That does not last very long, because they are clearly basically kind of like going against the Dungeons and Dragons. And I thought that was one of the more interesting storylines. How still today, people see these video games even today, and people saw Dungeons and Dragons back in the 80s, 90s, that they were causing these cults to start and the violence to ensue. And it's sadly still a thing that many people blame for violence in the world. It's just video games themselves. So I felt like it was an interesting storyline to touch on. Eddie was such a great new addition to the cast, really all the new characters. Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie Munson, great new character into the season. And he's kind of been on the run. This is why they all come together in Hawkins. But of course, Max is saved by listening to her favorite song, which we learned when Nancy and Robin went to the penitentiary and found Victor Creel, played by the legend himself, Robert Englund, who, of course, all the Freddy Krueger references in the show, can't do without the man himself who played Freddy Krueger, which is Robert Englund, who helps them out and knows that it's the music. So Max is saved, and the rest of the season, she's kind of wearing the headphones to make sure if anything else happens, she can just put it on and she'll be okay. But for Lucas comes back, and you can kind of tell Lucas and Max are gonna definitely get back together very soon. They kind of need each other. And another storyline is the Steve and Nancy thing, that Steve's kind of in nowhere in his life. He's gone out. He didn't go to college, can't get a girlfriend. He's kind of just lost. And this is kind of where Nancy kind of is in her life. Jonathan's not going back to see her. She's not going to see Jonathan. In a lull in the relationship, she clearly wants to go to college, and Jonathan does not with her. And you can kind of tell that they're building to Nancy and Steve possibly reuniting, because Steve's kind of like, I got to give this old thing a chance, which I thought was actually kind of an interesting storyline. I think this will lead to possibly Steve getting killed off in this season. Because let's talk about the last episode. Steve, they go to the Watergate, which is one of the gates where the basketball player kid got killed by Vecna. Steve goes down, and all 4 of them, Steve, Eddie, Nancy, and Robin, are in the Upside Down as the cops are interrogating Max, Lucas, and Dustin. And then Erica helps out, and we have one of the best sequences of the show, which is communicating between the 4 people in the Upside Down and the 4 people in the real world. That was just fantastic, using the lights back from season 1. And just it all was so cool to look at. The way that Robin and Eddie came down from the Upside Down back into the real world was really cool. And they made it such a light moment with Eddie and Robin both saying, yeah, it was a lot of fun the way we just came down there. And then turns out Nancy's about to go, and it's like, oh my God, this is such a fun little thing. It's just going back to the real world. And then Nancy gets sucked into Vecna's world, back where the pool is in season 1, where Barb died in the opening season, and she is now stuck in Vecna's mind, and she kind of gets the whole exposition dump, but the reveal of who Vecna is, which we'll get to with 11 storyline, But as you can tell, and Steve got some pretty big bites at the end of episode 6. I feel like something is not going to go in. It feels like not everyone, this is such a huge cast now, not everyone is going to make it out of this season alive. I do believe that there's one character that I'm betting on not making it out. It is Steve. Based on his bites, it seems like a little too easy. He just gets bit by these things and he's just okay. I do think that will come back to haunt him, which is not going to be good for Nancy. So I think they want to still do the Nancy Jonathan stuff. So I think that Steve dying will allow that to happen. So that's what I think. In the last 2 episodes, my big prediction that Steve will not make it through this season. But still, Hawkins stuff was my favorite part. So funny. Both Dustin just continues to steal everything with Gaten Matarazzo. Great dynamic with both Eddie and Steve. But let's get into the last one we're going to talk about here, which is the 11 storyline. So 11's bullied in every sequence in her life, but her whole thing this season that she is not in the hell, which I actually kind of like, that she wasn't the only hope for everyone. Everyone kind of handles themselves this season, because the first 3 seasons, kind of the only problem was it was kind of like Elle or bust. And all these people kind of were just like, oh, Elle can save us all. And I like that this season everyone kind of did their own thing, and Elle was kind of stuck back in the original place with Matthew Modine playing Dr. Brenner, and Sam Owens kind of tricking her into being back with Brenner. It was a really good twist in episode 5, I believe, is when this happened again. But Elle's basically going through all of her memories to bring back her powers. And obviously, she's going to be way more powerful than before. And we get the big reveal that the orderly that has been helping her out the whole time, who we thought was an actual good person, certainly is not. The orderly is actually number 1. Who we learn is the big twist of season 4, which I could not believe what I was watching. I clearly thought that the orderly, that 11 probably wasn't going to be the person who killed everyone, and I felt like the orderly clearly was that person. Once the orderly kind of got that chip, I was like, okay, that's how the orderly kind of has powers. But we learned that not just is this orderly Vecna, but the Victor Creel's son, which I felt like was a great jaw-dropping twist in the last 30 minutes of the show. It was really, I could not believe what I was watching. I knew he would be a bad guy, but I first of all did not think this was Vecna, and 2, had no idea this would be Victor Creel's son, as we get the flashback, a mixture of Victor Creel's son telling 11 the story, and then Nancy seeing it when she's in Vecna's mind. I felt that was a brilliant cuts back and forth between Nancy in the Upside Down and 11 learning this in her memories. And we learned that 11 basically, we thought killed Victor Creel's son by, putting her through it, but this will make 11 a lot more powerful. But it was actually a jaw-dropping, and I actually like this season a lot for 11. I don't think this is the best we've seen from her, but the story was really fascinating. Who should she trust? And really the difference between a superhero and a monster, and that there is a gray area. You're not a monster, and you also don't have to be a superhero. And I thought the balance of those things that Brenner kind of lectured her on were actually true. And Mike telling her that, and I am interested to see what happens with the Mike and all stuff, because it seems like Will clearly, I think, has a crush on Mike. And I think that's kind of the love triangle there, because it feels like this painting that Will has is actually for Mike. And I'll just see if they go through with that in either the volume 2 or season 5, which is the last season. But as you can tell, I just broke down all those storylines. This was a fantastic season, I thought, from start to finish. I thought this is still one of the, if not the best show still going today. Really emotional stuff. I think episode 4 and episode 7 just are some of the best episodes you'll see all year in TV. Really satisfying, really dark, really horrifying, emotional, all of those kind of emotions you're kind of getting out throughout the show. And we have to wait for 2 episodes on July 1st, the first episode being an hour and a half, and the 9th episode of the season finale being 2.5 hours. This is some of the longest TV I think I can ever remember having. And if you heard from the Duffers, they've already not just renewed season 5, but they've already pitched season 5. So they already have the scripts for season 5. So they should be shooting this very quickly. So should be interesting to see, but I'll be back with you guys on July 1st, breaking down the last 2 episodes of season 4, which I am just dying to get now following these 7 episodes. So That's my thoughts on Stranger Things season 4. Please like the video, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and let's have a fun conversation. Love to talk. What are your favorite characters, least favorite parts of the show? Did you love the season, not like the season? What are your bold predictions for not just the last 2 episodes, but also the show as a whole? Let me know, and I'll see you guys soon.